Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned Albino's E3 Roundup, where I talk about all the noteworthy stuff of all the E3 stuff I watched. I only saw the major publisher conferences, so this video is all about Microsoft, Nintendo, Bethesda, Square Enix, and Ubisoft. Would have been Sony if they had bothered to show up. You run out of guys to play banjos and Japanese wind instruments this year. No added word on The Last of Us Part 2 or Ghosts of Tsushima. Very unfortunate. Anyway, let's work with what we do have, starting with Microsoft. They began their show with a new IP called The Outer Worlds from Obsidian Entertainment, the team that previously brought you games like Fallout New Vegas and South Park The Stick of Truth, seemingly specializing in working on one game in a franchise that then moves on without them. The Outer Worlds may turn out to be a chance to break that cycle though, despite what I'm looking at. I'm just tired of this aesthetic, this overly bright yet pale, washed out color palette that started recently with Rage 2 and is bleeding into more and more games. Speaking of bleeding, and speaking of exactly what I'm talking about, Bleeding Edge, the next game they showed at this conference, looks like Overwatch with a color scheme of different flavors of vomit. It's a 4v4 competitive multiplayer hero shooter / brawler, and it touts experience by people who have worked on Devil May Cry, Hellblade, Heavenly Sword, and Enslaved. Strangely absent from this list of previous developmental credits is Overwatch, and also Overwatch, because I just thought this was Overwatch and assumed people from Overwatch would have worked on it. They have a dude in this game named El Bastardo. Pass. Thankfully, we got a much-needed palate cleanse with the next game, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which is the upcoming sequel to my favorite game of all time, and therefore I am very excited about it. It was supposed to release last year, and then it didn't, and now it's releasing next February, which is very far away from last December, but despite it all, I know it's going to be absolutely breathtaking and incredible, but I can't wait, so I'm building a time machine. See you guys in February, or in my case, 5 minutes. Ori is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous 2D action platformer with RPG leveling, upgrades, and in the case of this upcoming game, co-op and weapon variety. It's going to be sensational. Microsoft moved right along from there to show off Minecraft Dungeons, a game from the original creators of Minecraft that brings the world of Minecraft to the dungeons of Minecraft. As someone who is long tired of Minecraft, this seems like something that can breathe new life into Minecraft, and the multiplayer components in particular promise to be a good time for anyone who likes Minecraft and wants more Minecraft. It's Minecraft, but you explore dungeons Minecraft, and it's coming out at an unspecified date in spring 2020 Minecraft. After a speech from head of Xbox Phil Spencer about gamers, gaming, and gamers, we got another look at Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was previously shown off a week or so ago in an extended gameplay trailer, which was absolutely phenomenal, and even as a non-Star Wars fan, I'm 100% in my resolve to get and enjoy this game. It's God of War with lightsabers, and I think it'll be just as good. Plus, it comes out this November, which is way sooner than I was expecting. The proper way to shift gears after a big hype game like Star Wars is to counter the naturally lowering energy of the room with a rise in tension and apprehension, which is exactly what Microsoft did with a horror game I'd have bet money was going to be Outlast 3 right up until the end when it said Blair Witch. The title doesn't matter though. The important thing is that this game looks all kinds of promising. The camera decided to pan out to a wide shot of the crowd while it was showing the release date for some ungodly reason, but if you pop in new contact lenses and squint, you can barely make out an August 30th date, which is pretty soon, so get pumped. And with all that out of the way, it was time to put your giant gauges on, roll up your mechanical sleeves, and comb your disgusting purple mohawk to get ready for Cyberpunk 2077. After watching a character that is assumedly your character get shot after beating up some bodyguards, you wake up to the single most hyped celebrity cameo in the history of video games, and while you're still processing how cool that shit is, the loudspeaker of the E3 auditorium booms with, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Keanu Reeves." Holy shit, in the flesh, Keanu Reeves comes out to the ear-piercing screams of the audience and tries his absolute best to get 2 words out of his mouth at any given time without everyone shrieking in absolute hysterics, and you can't even be mad watching it because it's like, yeah, that's what should be happening right now. Someone yells out, "You're breathtaking," and he shouts back, "You're breathtaking!" And then the whole crowd is like, oh my god, he was talking directly to me. The entire Keanu Reeves segment was the best moment of any of the conferences, and it's not close. But rather than end on what was the obvious climax and height of the show, Microsoft still had like an hour to go. Also, Cyberpunk releases April 16th, 2020. So if you're an indie developer with no pedigree who is revealing a small game nobody has any inkling of, you probably lie awake at night as you fantasize about your game being presented at E3, and you probably think something to yourself along the lines of, Man, I hope I don't have to follow something insane like Keanu Reeves telling everybody they're breathtaking. Well, too bad. This little 2D game called Spiritfarer, which I have no idea anything about, was the next thing to be shown, in a sequence of Xbox Game Pass titles, one of which was the new Battletoads, another was a game called The Legend of Wright, and then like 60 other games whizzed by in a blur of zero fanfare, and none of them stood out from each other at all. Xbox Game Pass itself was the next thing to be talked about. This year was certainly year of the subscription services for games, between Stadia, Ubisoft's own Ubisoft Plus, and now Xbox Game Pass. I don't know if it's worth it, I couldn't tell you. Part of it seemed like you could play Xbox games that were previously only on console on PC, but I thought every Xbox game was on PC anyway, so I have no idea. But at least it's only $10 a month while Ubisoft's is $15 for some dumb reason. Bitch, you ain't Netflix. After that, Microsoft gave a whole trailer to Microsoft Flight Simulator, as if that was a big game anybody had been eagerly anticipating. Then they did a couple more reveals I'm too bored to address, followed by Psychonauts 2, which is apparently a big deal to some people. Then there was Lego Star Wars, which I'm good with Jedi Fallen Order, thanks. And then we got a look at the new Dragon Ball Z action RPG. That would have been quite nice if they had decided not to just show the same rehashed plot points of the original Dragon Ball Z storyline they've been repeating in games for literally the last 20 years, and had decided to show any of the supposed open world or actual RPG mechanics. No, mostly just fight cutscenes. But hey, it's called Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, so that's something. So far it just seems like we'd be rebuying Dragon Ball Xenoverse, but hopefully all the stuff they didn't show can save my initial impression. The next game piqued my interest though. We gotta look at a Groundhog Day style game where you repeat 12 minutes of your life leading up to a man knocking on your door who is there to kill you and your wife. You keep dying and you wake up in the same time loop trying to piece together why this is happening and trying to make different choices that could prevent it. Where most loop-based stories revolve around an entire day, this one is relegated to 12 minutes, which challenges the plot to be more intriguing and concise. Plus, from the trailer, it seems to take place entirely in a single apartment. That's a lot of narrative constraints to put on yourself, so the story has to rise up, and if it does, it'll be real impressive. No release date, just says coming soon. Then there was a game about a deer leading her fawn around weird environments and solving puzzles and manipulating time and space with her shiny antlers. Alright. From there, the conference goes to Gears of War 5, a game I don't have much investment in personally as I've only played the third one, so y'all can decide for yourselves if it looks good or not. But do you like fancy new Elite controllers that purport to have hair trigger locks and wrap-around rubberized grips, 3 different controller presets, and over 40 hours of battery life? Then you'll love the Xbox Elite Wireless Controllers Series 2. They don't show the price during the presentation, but if you look it up, you'll see exactly why the fuck that is, because it's $180 goddamn dollars, you absolute maniacs. We got a Dying Light 2 trailer that didn't reveal much of anything, but the game's coming out spring 2020. I'm hyped for it. I know it'll be good. Oh, and Forza Horizon added Legos, because everything is awesome with Legos, I guess. We got a Gears Pop trailer for that same mobile Funko whatever Gears of War game we saw at last year's E3, which is apparently not a joke like I had previously hoped. Who is this for? Who will play this? On an unrelated note, but a sequential one, Phantasy Star Online is supposedly Japan's greatest ever online RPG, and it's coming to the West via Xbox One, and it's free to play, and has epic boss battles and content, and I have no clue what's going on, spring 2020. Crossfire is the next game in the presentation that I have no idea what's going on. Cutscene-only trailers tend to do that to you. Is it a battle royale? Is it team-based multiplayer? Is it a campaign? What's going on here? Also, that dude's never gonna be able to swim that far. Our next trailer took about 45 seconds to convince me it wasn't Code Vein, but it turned out to be the next Tales game instead. Looks killer. The last Tales game I played was Tales of Symphonia on the GameCube like 15 years ago. I never know about the combat systems in games like this. I always like the story and characters and art, but then I don't have fun playing them. We'll see. 2020 release date, no specified month, no specified season even, which is how you know it's going to be 2021 instead. Borderlands 3 then showed up and reminded everybody who had never forgotten in the first place that we're all gonna buy that shit. From there, we got one of the bigger hyped things that was leaked before the conference, the collaboration between From Software, makers of Souls and Sekiro, and George R.R. Martin, maker of some of his books, Song of Ice and Fire, aka Game of Thrones. The trailer managed to show several different things without making even a semblance of sense in traditional From Software storytelling, and for now it's hard to generate hype over something I know nothing about. But it's called Elden Ring, and it'll probably release in like 3 years. But it was time now for Xbox to reveal its brand new console, Project Scarlet, which is a kick-ass codename. They claim it has over 4 times the processing power of the Xbox One S and treated it as though it would even outclass current PC rigs. They promised seamless, virtually non-existent load times and announced it for a holiday 2020 release date. With only a year and a half until then, Sony's gonna have to answer back soon with the rumored PlayStation 5. Microsoft ended the show predictably with Halo Infinite, which is sure to massively excite all the right people. No gameplay though, still cool though. Time to move on to Bethesda. Bethesda always likes to play these little videos of all their dev teams portrayed as actual human beings, probably to remind you all that carbon-based lifeforms are who's responsible for all the glitches in your favorite Bethesda games. It almost feels like a preemptive move, like, whoa, hey, I know we've massively disappointed you, but remember, we're all humans here. Especially when you consider the fact that they revealed nothing further about Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6, although for the record, I don't know a single person who cares even slightly about Starfield. Elder Scrolls 6, though, if you're gonna pretend that game doesn't exist in your conference, then yeah, it's probably good to show pictures of the developers with their kids and families. Like, please don't hurt me, I have a wife, we're working on Elder Scrolls 6, I promise. Reparations did seem like a starting theme of the conference, though. We're going to skip them beginning with Elder Scrolls Blades, because who will miss it? But afterwards, it was all about how Fallout 76 defied players' expectations by being shitty instead of not shitty, and what they were going to do to fix it. Turns out it's pretty substantial. They've been fixing up the game for a while now, apparently, and their next big content drop includes human NPCs and quest givers, that thing we all sorely missed, among other things. They're also introducing a get excited battle royale mode. If you like BR, you like BR. The important factor in all of this is that all of the content is free, and not only is all the content free, the game itself is free to play for a week, starting basically now as I write this, and ending hopefully not before this video goes up. So they're trying, and that's positive. I give them credit for it. From here, we move to a new IP called Ghostwire, which presents a Rapture-like situation where much of humanity has just up and vanished in place, leaving their clothes behind, their trucks careening down the highway, and their dogs with no one to let them outside to pee. To talk about the game, they brought out someone who is not good at English in order to systematically grind the pace of the show to a screeching halt, but luckily, he only talked for about a paragraph before introducing another speaker to take his place who was also not good at English, but she was kawaii as fuck, so the audience loved her anyway. Checkmate, feminists, audiences vastly prefer women who struggle with English to men. Put that on your social charts. Visually, the game looks quite astoundingly good, but I have no idea what kind of game it is, and there was no release date or even window, so we won't see it anytime soon. Throughout this entire conference, whenever anything remotely Elder Scrolls related was being discussed, there were 3 or so gentlemen near the front row who were aggressively cheering at everything everybody said, and it was really fucking annoying. A person on stage would say something like, "The Elder Scrolls Online has been doing really well recently," and those dudes would be like, "Yeah! Woo! Yeah!" And nobody hit them with an elephant tranquilizer at any point during the show, which was the biggest E3 disappointment of all. They even cheered for random irrelevant shit about Elder Scrolls Blades. Have some goddamn standards. I know you work at GameStop, but have a little dignity. In more positive news, this presenter got a lot better since last year it's saying things without expecting applause breaks after every sentence. In fact, with the exception of the Ghostwire people and a couple others, scattered across different shows, this year's E3 speakers were relatively brisk and prepared. It was nice. What wasn't nice was that anyone thought Commander Keen was a good idea. Apparently this IP has been sitting in id Software's trash bin for the last couple decades, and some people from Bethesda were like, "Hey, do you mind if we make a shitty mobile game out of this, fill it to the brim with microtransactions, and push it on children?" I don't even think this game is for kids. I swear I heard a curse word come from one of the characters. This game is for nobody. Then it was time for the Elder Scrolls Legends, which meant it was also time for more obnoxious, guttural noises from a group of people I wish we could legally cull. I've been getting more into card games recently, but specifically deck builders with RPG elements, like Slay the Spire and all the clones it spawned. Legends does nothing for me, but it's on mobile now, or it always was and now it's on PC, or well, it was always on PC and now it's on mobile, whatever. Rage 2 gets a thumbs up for me, because its first DLC is adding cheat codes. Cheat codes have become a dying breed in modernized gaming, where everything is about fair play, even in single-player only games, but having things like low-gravity mode in Rage 2 are sure to liven up the action and maybe even make me buy it, at a discounted price, of course. The main review jargon I heard with this game was that the gunplay was excellent, but the open world was lacking, so once they add a bunch of shit to the open world, I'm super down to go all in with it. This is a complete edition type of game for sure, even if I still hate the aesthetic. Wolfenstein is a franchise that deserves more attention and acclaim, that I've only played one game of, and only for an hour. Still though, that quality was apparent, I just had other things to do, and I still do, but if I ever don't, look out. Now we come to the reveal that was most interesting to me about Bethesda's whole deal. Deathloop. A game by Arcane Studios, developers of Dishonored and Prey, starring two people who pretty much just try to kill each other over and over again, and even when they succeed, they have to keep doing it because the other person respawns. I get Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibes from it, only instead of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, it's a black guy and a black chick, and they are dialed in, bro. I don't know if they're related, but they sure want to kill each other like they are. It's something to learn more about for sure. Next up was Orion, which is tech that I don't understand that makes development easier supposedly. Who knows? I sure don't. Let's move on. The big show-stopping ending came from Doom Eternal, which was as bombastically gory and glorious as we'd expect, no less. I was glad that the platforming of Doom seems to have taken a more front seat in this game, with air dashes and mid-air dash replenisher pickups in certain sections. I loved the rune trials of the first game, so I hope we'll get more of those. Other than just a terrific look at regular Doom combat, they also showcased a new multiplayer mode where it's one Space Marine player against two demon opponents, who have to utilize their evil movesets and work together to overwhelm the solo player. I love when games let you play as the enemies, and more should really take advantage of that if you ask me. Doom Eternal looks like it'll be everything we want it to be, just no word on a release date yet, which brings us to the end of Bethesda's showcase. On to Ubisoft. As far as live music performances at E3 go, this Assassin's Creed Symphony could have been worse. In fact, the only way it could have been better was if it didn't happen at all. Not that it wasn't technically impressive, there were lots of fast string sections, but it's still an orchestra, which means everyone who wasn't a band kid in high school was bored. I was a band kid in high school and I was still bored. They're doing a world tour for band kids all over the globe if you can't get enough. Now, I heard some rumblings before watching it, because I saw it late, that Ubisoft's conference was bad, but that's not necessarily true, and I found things to like about it. The principal one among them came right out of the gate, with Watch Dogs Legion. The third game in the Watch Dogs trilogy, Ubisoft took the criticism that the last game's protagonist was bland and dull, and rather than create a single likable character, they decided to make literally everyone the protagonist. That's not an exaggeration. The whole gimmick of Legion is that you can recruit any bystander to join your resistance organization, and then you can do missions as them, or anyone else you recruit. Everyone on the street has different proficiencies and specialties you can discover by hacking into them with your phone. Then all you have to do is play their origin mission, and you can use them in any way you want after that. I think this is super good and cool, actually. You can recruit kids, gangsters, ex-spies, old ladies, anybody you bump into on the street, which probably means a lot of homeless people. Permadeath is a thing, though, so it's like doing a Nuzlocke challenge in Pokemon. Your recruits can die and be gone forever, forcing you to get new ones, which might create a spot of immense frustration depending on how unfair deaths can be. The third-person shooting looks really good, and the up-close takedowns are a badass highlight. I skipped the last Watch Dogs game, but I'm probably going to get this one. It comes out March 6, 2020. That month is going to be crazy for games. This next presentation is a little bit sad, a little bit pretentious, and very pointless. Mythic Quest is a show, a television show, about the fictional dev team behind a fictional MMO, and it's produced by all the people from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, except even with that sitcom street cred, they couldn't manage to get their show anywhere beyond Apple TV+. Ubisoft is literally making a movie about The Division, starring Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal, and that's gonna be on Netflix, but Mythic Quest? Nah, Apple TV is where it belongs. Also, the clip they showed wasn't funny, and it's a comedy, so that's bad. Rainbow Six Siege is adding new operatives, which I don't care about. For Honor is adding a new something, which I don't care about. Adventure Time is infiltrating Brawlhalla, which I doubly don't care about. But then we come to Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which I may or may not end up caring about. I maintain that Ghost Recon Wildlands was a fun game with friends, and I think this one is going to continue that. By yourself, though? We'll see. Tom Clancy's Elite Squad with Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. Awesome! Oh wait, it's a shitty mobile game. Fuck. Not what people wanted when it comes to Sam Fisher. Sad day for Splinter Cell hopefuls. We could ignore the Just Dance 2020 performance. We could just glaze over it. So we will. I didn't even mind it that much, so all the better. And then here's Rainbow Six Siege again. I'm not on board with Ubisoft's live service vision for games, because a third of this presentation was updates for games people stopped playing 3 years ago. Of course, half their games are live services meant to last till the rapture, while the other half are by-the-numbers annual sequels nobody plays for more than a few days. You guys need to find that middle ground. Ubisoft Plus. Say it with me. Hashtag not worth it. They were even like, oh, it's compatible with Stadia, which is subscriptionception. Yo, dog, I heard you like subscription services, so we put a subscription service inside a subscription service so you can subscribe while you're subscribed, bro. The fuck are you trying to pull here, brah? That's like if I booted up Netflix to watch Showtime. This can't be allowed to continue, we're just gonna go further down the rabbit hole. And now for the other cool thing from Ubisoft, Roller Champions. I think this has potential. I think this could be the next big fake sports game since Rocket League. I don't understand the rules, but it looks fun, fast-paced, violent, stylish, and most importantly for potential esports game, watchable. Good job, Roller Champions. You managed to be original, fresh, and cool, all while underneath Ubisoft's umbrella. That's impressive. Ubisoft ended their show with a teaser for a game that could have easily been mistaken for somebody's Xbox Game Pass indie title. It's called Gods and Monsters, and the footage doesn't show much to feel inspired by. It just kind of falls flat for me. It's being made by the Assassin's Creed team, and it's cool they're doing something new, but like, what is this? If you wanted anyone to have faith in this project, you should have shown more of it. As it stands, your conference went out with a whimper, but at least you had Watch Dogs and Roller Champions. Moving right along to Square Enix and the cornerstone of their conference, Final Fantasy VII. Which actually managed to convince me to get it, because they showed real gameplay, and it's more the type of combat that a Kingdom Hearts fan who couldn't usually get into Final Fantasy would love. They even specifically mention in the script, 1 sword swing per press of the square button, and that's enough to sell me. They know. They know people who like Kingdom Hearts' combat can't always connect with Final Fantasy, so they implemented a system that's more what we're used to, while also maintaining an optional system for the OGs to love that's more in line with their style. What results is versatility, which means I can actually play this game and like it. Some people have been turned off by the nature of FFVII as an episodic game, but Square has made sure to emphasize that content-wise it's a full game, and the episodes are full game length. This isn't a side project, it's their main focus, and they're putting everything they've got into it. Also, Tifa's fucking hot, like damn. Glad she's not the one that dies. Final Fantasy VII comes out March 3rd, 2020. Told ya. March, man. They went from Final Fantasy to Life is Strange 2, or like whatever the next game is in this weird hipster universe of Life is Strange and The Adventures of Captain Spirit, IDK. These games have always struck me as being for the type of people who would fly to Seattle just to try the coffee, so I don't think it's for me. They should run an ad that's just like, are you vegan and in college? You should play Life is Strange. Are you depressed and possibly bi-curious? Have we got the game for you? It's just a vibe. Could be wrong. Regardless, not interested. Square then went on throughout the show revealing random JRPG after random JRPG. Some of them were remasters of old JRPGs, some of them were new yet indistinguishable from old RPGs. A first-person shooter probably could have slipped in amongst them and nobody would have noticed because it was a vast sea of JRPGs that blotted out the sun. And they made up the bulk of the conference, and every time they did that little screen change transition with the colored smoke, I was just praying, please God, not another JRPG, and then it would be another JRPG, and my atheist roots would tighten around my brainstem. You know what didn't matter at all? That they showed Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC footage. Because everyone had seen it already. They revealed it at some concert the night before or a few days before, and someone recorded and leaked it, so nobody cares. But it also wasn't much of a spectacle to begin with. There was no new world or new characters, plus Sora was back like he had never disappeared trying to save Kairi, so I don't even know what to think till it releases in the winter. Then we finally got something that wasn't a JRPG. Outriders. From the makers of Bulletstorm and Gears of War Judgment, we got a shooter, though no gameplay, but a depiction of a super cool looking dark and oppressive world coming out summer 2020. That's a game to keep an eye on in my book. After a look at Oninaki, a JRPG that I actually didn't snore at, Square Enix moved on to the finale of their presentation, Marvel Avengers. Now, I'm not as personally sold on this as other people might be because the gameplay looks a little shoddy, but having online co-op, where you can choose your own Avenger, not to mention all the content they plan to add, including new heroes, is going to be free, means you could have some serious fun with friends here. I'm cautiously optimistic. May 15th, 2020 for you, also I call Iron Man. Last but not least, in fact possibly the best, although personally I think it and Microsoft might have to have a sudden death match to decide it, we have Nintendo. Nintendo had technically the shortest conference, but they had extended coverage afterwards, showing more in-depth looks at a lot of the games they showed off, which I didn't watch. Oops. Actually, that's a lie. I did see more footage of the Dynamax 4-player raids from Pokemon Sword and Shield, and they're even more epic than I thought. Let's not go out of order here, though. Nintendo started things off by confirming what rumors had long held suspicion, that the hero from Dragon Quest was joining the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate roster. What was not speculated, however, was that he would do it alongside pretty much every Dragon Quest character there's ever been, as alternate skins, which I don't even play this series, but that's cool. Variety is the spice of life. He seems to play like a Link clone. Not exactly, of course, but like he feels like a Link/Young Link/Toon Link type of sword character, more so than a Fire Emblem one. Then they showed the game he's actually from, which I have no interest in. The next title was Luigi's Mansion 3, which is a game I've been severely underrating. In this game, you check into a haunted hotel of sorts and have to deal with ghosts with new poltergust upgrades to your vacuum, like being able to slam ghosts into each other and create a slime-based clone of yourself to help you solve puzzles called Gooigi. This clone also enables 2-player co-op, which is adorable. I loved the original Luigi's Mansion for GameCube, so this is going to be sweet, and it comes out Gooigi. And it comes out this year. I guess they thought Luigi's Mansion gave them an all-access pass to be weird as shit, so the next thing they showed us was whatever the fuck this is. A gremlin grandma talking to a crystal, and then, God, what is happening? My grip on reality is loosening by the second. And it's on Netflix, but also Switch? What is it? Okay, just put it away. I'm having dark thoughts. Moving very quickly along, we got more footage of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, and although I'm not typically interested in 2D Zelda, given that Breath of the Wild is the only Zelda game I played, I think I'll be giving this one a try. Comes out September 20th this year. Fire Emblem Three Houses went with another cinematic trailer showcasing its anime chops, and I mean, I guess they don't need to show more gameplay since we already know what it is. It's Fire Emblem, and it comes out in a little over a month, so it's right around the corner. Must buy for me, not much more need be said. No More Heroes 3 is a series I'm unfamiliar with, but does not leave a good first impression. Whenever games try to be meta and like make fun of themselves, it's usually a turnoff unless the dialogue is clever, which this trailer is not. It works when the humor is like whimsical, not when it's edgy or just super blunt, so that's a no from me, dog. Another no from me is Damon Machina. Damon? Machina? Machinima? Why do we spell things weird sometimes? I just don't believe in this game's ability to sell. It also doesn't help that I've never been interested in mech combat, or aerial combat, or space combat, or anything like that. Another no from me is this actual pile of garbage. Panzer Dragoon. This is the worst looking game of possibly all of E3, the biggest loser. This looks like something you'd see on the PlayStation Store for unfortunately $30 with a bunch of misspelled words in the description, and you look at it and go, which Sony executive's son is being held hostage by whoever developed this game? But it's not Sony, it's Nintendo, and Nintendo has been acquiring like 9 horrible indie games a day on the eShop, but I didn't think it had sunk low enough to broadcast them at E3. This is pitiful. A great transition to hopefully forget what we just saw, though, is to shift over to Pokemon Sword and Shield, where we can see a reveal of the Water-type gym leader Nessa and think to ourselves, oh, so the game is just full of waifus then. Sonya has some competition. Nessa is a dark-skinned goddess. Hot damn. You might be water, but you light my fire, girl. You can be super effective against me all night long. Pokemon is about more than just waifus, though. But you wouldn't know it from this presentation, because she's all they showed that was new, lol. Following Pokemon was Astral Chain, a game that has many people buzzing around like flies after a couple drinks. I just gotta know how it plays. That's my only reservation. We still haven't seen gameplay. I'm here for the story and art, but I needs that gameplay. Well, we'll at least get it by August 30th when it releases 2019. We got a new Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. I never played the last one, but it received middling reviews. This one at least looks gorgeous, though. Should be a big step up from the last one. Comes out November 2019. And then came Nintendo's biggest disappointment of the presentation, the announcement that they had to push back Animal Crossing to March of 2020. March, dude, coming in clutch. It certainly still looks like more Animal Crossing, though. This time it seems like you're the first resident on a deserted island and have to populate it and turn it into a thriving locale. No doubt the game will be good, and Animal Crossing. Just sucks that we have to wait even longer. After announcing a bunch of games that weren't already on Switch that were coming to Switch, we saw a cinematic of Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and King K. Rool all asleep in a shack. Based on the art and characters, it was clear this had to be Smash related, but we had already just gotten Dragon Quest Hero for Smash, so what could this be? Well, it was Banjo-Kazooie. Dragon Quest Hero is coming out as a fighter this summer, while Banjo comes out in the fall. The only issue with Banjo-Kazooie I have is that he doesn't look like a good fighter. We don't see much of his moves, but from what I can tell, he's got a terrible recovery and he doesn't seem that strong. But who can guess? All we can do is wait for more Nintendo Directs to reveal the characters in greater depth. But that wasn't even the final part of the show. 2 words. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. We don't see much, but it's a thing that is happening, and that's a great thing to be happening. And that's E3. So who won E3? I think it's a toss-up between Nintendo and Microsoft. Nintendo had Luigi's Mansion 3, Pokemon, Astral Chain, Fire Emblem, and 2 Smash characters, but Xbox had Project Scarlet, Cyberpunk, Ori, Minecraft Dungeons, Borderlands 3, solid indies, and Keanu Reeves. So you be the judge. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino, and I'll see you guys next time.